What's up, guys? So today Dad's here at the garage today. He's working on the front end of Kubota, trying to glue some stuff. He helped me earlier. We actually had the tires on this and had it sit down. We got the airbags on, bump stops and everything at full bump stop, and I'm playing with the idea of the anti-sway bar, where we're going to put it at. We don't have everything finished welded in on the upper links or anything yet, so I'm kind of getting everything designed before I start finish welding everything in. But I wanted to step through putting shock mounts today, because I'm working on shock mounts today, because I want to do that before I do the anti-sway bar and get those done. That way, as I design where the anti-sway bar is going to go, I know I'm going to clear my shock mounts. So, and the tires and everything else. So we'll go through shock mounts. What I've done is I've made myself this, well, I'll tell you what, let me get the tripod set up so I can run through the motions and show you a little bit better. Okay guys, I'll show you what I've done. So this little sleeve right here is actually the piece that I cut off for my panhard bar, and it actually fits the shock mount bolt. Alright, so what I've done is I welded this on there, and I made me a mark at about 16¼ My shocks have 16-inch travel, or 16-inch bottom end, full compression, but I got a 1/4 here because I know the bump stops will hit, and if I have any weight on it at all, it might smash the bump stops a little bit. I don't want to bottom out on the shock themselves, so I want to give myself a little leeway. That will take away from full travel about 1/4 inch, but I'm not really worried about that because I don't see us doing full travel that much anyways. We will be sitting on bump stops quite a bit, going full compression, so because it looks cool when you're low, right? So what I done was, with making that mark at 16¼ I can take my bolt, stick it through the shock mounts that I welded onto the differential. Right, you can see my line I made. What I've done is I've come up here, I hold this marker level with my mark here, dead center of it, and then I just make my travel, make my arch. Okay, so that's going to be my center line of where that 16¼ lands at. And then on the other end of this, I went off that line that I made on the front section of frame, right up in here, that I actually measured the axle off of, and if I keep going off that line, everything should match. So I come back 26½ inches, which should put me right about like that. So it's not quite straight up and down, it's leaned back a little bit, but as this thing opens up, the axle is going to swing that way, so it will take it, it will continue the movement of the shock, the bottom end of it, towards the front of the truck, and of course it's going to stand off of the frame some in order to match this, which will allow some side-to-side movement in the bushing of the shock. So I'm going to drill me a hole right there, and then, and depending, actually that's in the round, I might actually come back a little bit more just so I'm not in that rounded section of that frame. I didn't think about that when I was going through this. That will make a difference. I may have to come back to like here someplace just to get out of the rounded section of that frame. See, I got in a hurry, almost made a mistake. I want to stay out of that because on the back side I want to have the head of a bolt or something, so I may have to come back clear into here. Not ideal, but oh well, it is what it is. I guess I could always go back this direction and put them out, but then it'll have problems clearing the axle. So I'll play with that some, and then when I get ready to make my mark, we'll drill the hole and I'll show you how I'm going to make my top mount. Alright, so after doing some figuring, I needed to come back 2 inches. I got the shock on here and I couldn't actually clear the shock housing with the rear end housing. So I came back 2 inches. If I smash this thing down, so that's going to be roughly my center right there. and I'm a good 1/4 inch off the housing there, and it should never come back any further than that. So I came back 2 inches and actually pinged it with my center punch right at the bottom end of that mark, that Sharpie mark. So I'm actually about 16 1/8 because I had to come back 2 inches, and I didn't want it to affect my travel that much. So now I'm gonna gee whiz. Okay, there's my guide hole. So now I'll find the right size bit to fit that diameter bolt, and I'll drill that bolt hole out, and then we'll figure out what we need. Piece over here, something to make our sleeve to go around this. All right, so now we've got the frame raised back up at mid-travel, which is where you want the shock to be level at, because it does move a little bit at full compression and extension. And I cut me a 2-inch long piece of pipe that fits the bolt really well. And what I'm gonna do is I'll stick my bolt through here. And if I shove it back in there, I'm going to push my shock down and get lined up here. That through. I'm eventually going to do a nylon locker. I don't have one right now. The lock washer on there, and that nut on. And that's pretty tight. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So, and the important part is here that we are at mid-travel right now, is that I'm setting that straight up and down there, and if I go on the top barrel of the shock, I'm showing the barrel of the shock is level, which means this is level with the frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put me a good tack on this right here all the way around, and then I'll take this shock off. I'll put me a gusset in here to help support this, because this is going to take a lot of bouncing. It's a shock, and then the shock mount will be done. Yep, welding hood. This is important. Must not be. Where's your ground at? It's on the truck. There we go. Okay. Now I'll take that off there. Because of the pressure on that, I better do something on the bottom side here. Yep. Need to make a gusset. So this is Dad's idea, which I like it, is to take this piece of angle right here and cut it 45 both ways, and then I will mount it to the frame right directly under that barrel, and it will support it from the bottom, but it will also support it on the side both ways and kind of triangulate it to it'll give it a lot more strength for any side movement and stuff in the shock, because going down the road that shock does take a beating, and this right here will help support everything. So when I cut this at those lines marked right there, I don't know if you can see those or not, but I got 45 marked there and there, and then this right here will set against the frame, and I'll weld this to the bottom of the barrel. So here we go. Okay, so I've got my piece made here. As you can see, that's just a 45 angle cut out of a piece of angle iron, and we're going to weld it up. What do you guys think? Look good? So I'm going to tap it up just a fuzz here on the end. There we go. Everything is squared up now, and there we go. Clean my tip up, it's getting filthy. Okay guys, that right there should do it. So that's probably a bit warm, so I don't want to stick my shock up through there right now, but that will go through like that. Shock the mount on there, and then that's got a metal sleeve. I'll go ahead and put it up so we can see it. Go. There it is, done deal. Just got to do the other side now. So that's how I'm doing the shock mounts on this one. So now under full articulation and full compression, I won't have any problem clearing my axle tube here. And next, now that that's over with, is going to work on mounting this thing properly. It's just hanging by that strap right now, but I want to mount my anti-sway bar on here, and I'll talk more about that in the next video. So I gotta go jump the other side and do my other shock mount, so that way I'll have that done today. Thanks for watching guys, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down there, and hopefully I'll get somebody here helping me eventually. I've been doing a bunch of this by myself right now just because I've had the free time, and Kagan and Adam and everybody's been working. And I know some of the shots aren't focused well because I'm doing this by myself. I'm trying here. But mainly I'm just trying to get stuff done on the truck so we can get it back out of the garage and not have the garage tied up with just this thing. Been putting the hours in on this. So, one down, one to go. Thanks guys.